Histórico Paracas, Juan Navarro Hierro, was the original owner of the museum. And it is located in Paracas next to the marine, as you can see over there. Those are the fishing boats. This is a beautiful place, and there are extraordinary journeys to islands beyond the bay. That's the Paracas Bay. There are extraordinary places to see beyond, with a lot of wildlife, and those are the big boats that take people very fast to see the wildlife. There's a lot to see here. Food is good, and it's something really worth it. Hello, my name is Giorgio Piacenza. I am a concerned citizen from Peru that wants to know the truth regarding the Paracas skulls. Here we are in the Paracas Skulls Museum that I have been before many times. And I would like to say that I sort of respect the possibility that these skulls, some of them, could have some genetic origins of people that came from other places, as Brien Foerster says, according to his research. But there are certain things that have to be considered beyond what he says. Unfortunately, many members of the Peruvian scientific teams do not want to get involved in controversies because we live in a very competitive society, and they are afraid of losing credibility, or they simply are not aware of these other reports. I took it personally to try to research this. As we can see here, some of these craniums have reddish hair, true. But then I asked physicians and other experts in Peru, and they said, well, there are populations in the jungle, even today, that due to malnutrition, the hair gets red. Possibly, possibly not. Possibly, these were descendants of people coming from abroad that have different genetic characteristics. I did come here about 2 years ago and measured the volume inside the skulls. The skulls that are artificially deformed, as with certain instruments that do that, like that one there, do not increase their volume, their internal volume. What increases is the upper side, the altitude, the height of the skull, or the shape changes. And it looks impressive, yes, it looks impressive. But the internal volume remains the same, as it would have been otherwise if this person had grown naturally. I studied a little bit with a San Marcos University archaeologist, anthropometric expert, and he taught me how to measure these skulls. There are two ways, the direct way and the indirect way. The direct way is placing something like rice or quinoa, dried rice, dried quinoa, inside, filling the skull inside completely, and then pouring it out, and then measuring how many cubic centimeters it occupies. In this case, this is perhaps the largest skull in the collection. I measured 1,300 cubic centimeters. It looks huge, it looks monstrous, but no. Inside, it was 1,300 cubic centimeters. It was a very thick skull, okay? Heavy, but inside it was like that. And that's within normal range. One of the things that isn't told too much is that this is a range. There's a range about this. It's not like everybody has the same capacity. But this is average, okay? This is an average range. Okay. So, presenting this as extraordinarily big, as though they're speaking about the volume inside, is kind of suspicious. It's good that people coming from other countries are researching the possible extraordinary origins of these skulls. One of the things that was said by the Brien Foerster team was that the Paracas people had an extra bone plate. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Not all, some of them. In Peru, generally in the Andes, in these indigenous populations, this is what is called the Inca plate, and it's not only something proper of the Paracas. This is an extra plate that happens as a natural variance of Homo sapiens in these regions. Okay? So it's not only of the Paracas people. Interesting though, very interesting. But that gives me also a little bit of doubt of everything else that was said about the research of the skulls from Peru, from Paracas. Okay? For example, this little skull here looks like the Star Child. Yes, but there are medical deformities that I was also researching in the medical literature, and you can find very, very similar deformities. This could be a deformity. Well, it's something to consider, not definitive. It could be a Star Child, yes, but it could be a deformity. So this has to be carefully researched, much more than we have until now. Okay? Also, another thing that I noticed in some of the declarations is that those two little holes that you can see in this skull, or in this skull here, these two little holes are normal. They're normal, a normal part of the human anatomy. okay? Normal part of the human anatomy. And I heard also some of the declarations related to the Brien Foerster research. It was that these were special or anomalous, and they were not. Now, regarding the disappearance of the suture, as in this case, that's interesting. I asked the medical in the School of Medicine in Lima, Peru, School of Medicine of Peru, Colegio Médico del Perú, if this was unnatural, but as though the plates had disappeared, or they only had one single plate on top of here. And no. They told me that oftentimes, many times they find skulls with the disappearance of this suture. But still, all of it has to be researched. If the team cannot recognize that these holes are normal, then how can we trust? How can we trust other things that they said about the genetic testing? Now, I may be wrong, okay? One has to be able to consider all possibilities. I may be wrong, and the genetic haplogroups that have been detected in the samples taken from some of these skulls probably came from Europe and the Middle East and the Caspian Sea. Yes, could be. I don't know, but I have to be sure that the genetic testing has been done properly. Okay? Now, if the blood type was also unique and different from the local indigenous population prevalent blood type, that could also be, but I have to be sure that the test was done properly. Okay? This is what worries me. That certain things are not being considered, like these two little holes here. That's a natural feature of human beings. Look in the book of anatomy, of medical anatomy. Okay? These are called fossae, F-O-S-S-A-E, fossae in Latin. And they are natural to human beings all over the world. So, all those things have to be considered carefully. I'm not a medical anthropologist, okay? But I'm a concerned citizen, because people come to my country and they talk about these things as the extraordinary discoveries, and they come and they leave making these discoveries and bringing people to Peru and giving conferences and all this, which is okay as long as it is precise. I hope that the people that are open-minded about the possibilities of call them people coming from other places, against the received knowledge, against conventional knowledge, also research, also see that the people that bring in the new information could also be wrong, totally or partially. And unfortunately, like I said before, if the local authorities and experts do not care to get involved in this research or answer to some of the questions, then we have a problem. Science has to be respected. Truth has to be respected. And people have to be engaged in what they believe to try to verify it. That skull probably was also deformed using that instrument that we showed before. It leaves like indentations. This does not mean that perhaps other skulls that were found in other places were not naturally born like this. They could have been born naturally like this. And all of that has to be researched. Okay? There could be, for example, I know that there's one interesting one in Cusco. There's another one, interesting one in Bolivia, the mother and child. I have not personally researched that, but I'm not close-minded to the possibility. I just want more precision when big statements are made about the skulls of Paracas, Peru. As a concerned Peruvian citizen, I say this. Okay. Here we can see some of the weapons they used. They had lots of skull fractures using these weapons. Anyhow, we need to research much more. Thank you very much. I also want to say, please come to Peru and enjoy this place. All right? Please come to Peru and enjoy this place. I want to say, please come to Peru and enjoy this place. This is a wonderful place to explore. I also want to say that for those interested in the UFO phenomenon, there is a very interesting UFO corridor that my friend Alex Sender discovered in this area. Many fishermen have seen UFOs. Many people in general have seen UFOs. It basically runs from this area. This is the Paracas Bay. It has beautiful hotels also here. It goes all the way east, due east. I would say probably for 40 miles, 50 miles, something like this. A little bit further south from Paracas, maybe 5 kilometers further south. It's almost there, and due east. It's where many UFOs concentrate. And behind that sand dune there, behind there, we can find the candelabra, the strange figure that has been there, who knows for how long. And it lasts for, although it regenerates itself apparently, because one day it was run over by a motorcycle person, and then it was recuperated. It recuperated itself. It recovered. It has the original shape still. There are boats that take you all the way to see the candelabra from behind. That's very interesting. Some contactees that I know say that that was left as a seal, imprint by a civilization called Apunians that came here a long time ago. There are suspicions that it's like a beacon to them. It signals where they come, where to come when they come from outer space. I don't know. It's all speculation, but those are the things that people that know about these issues talk about. Okay?